Three tech stories, two actually happened, one is completely made up. The catch, they're all written the same way, so you can't just go by how it sounds. You have to go by how it feels. Let's go.
As you go through each story, think about two things: real or fake.
Tech stories,
And who's actually in the wrong here?
completely made up. The catch.
What's going on?
I have no idea. I don't know why it dropped the image, but let's continue.
I was like, oh, I hear something in the background.
Technology. Are you done your part? I gotta find the image here.
No, I wasn't actually done my part. So here we go. No right answers, just gut reactions. Let's get into it. If you're new, subscribe now. We do this show we got a new time now. Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern, based on viewer feedback. Too real, two truths and a lie. Let's go.
Hello, Mind Mystic. Thank you for joining us. Drop in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to find out. But we're going to get right into the first story tonight. And again, it's your choice. It's your decision. Is this real or fake? You're going to find out at the end. So story number 1, the interview that wasn't real. Am I the asshole? Here's the situation. I have been I have been a hiring manager for 11 years. I have interviewed hundreds of people. I know what a nervous candidate looks like, what an overconfident one looks like, what a genuinely great one looks like. I thought I had seen everything. I had not seen this. About 4 months ago, I was conducting a final round video interview for a senior analyst position. Strong resume, great phone screen. The candidate had made it through 2 previous rounds with 2 other members of my team. Both said they liked him. About 12 minutes into our conversation, something started to feel off. Not wrong exactly, just slightly delayed. The mouth movements were a fraction behind the words. Now, side note, I talk really fast so I can understand that not working. But okay, the words were a fraction behind the words, his mouth movements. The lighting on his face didn't shift when he turned his head the way it should. When I asked him to lean forward to look at a shared document, his face stayed unnaturally still. I stopped the interview. I told him my connection seemed to be lagging and asked if he could turn his camera off and back on. There was a pause. Then the filter dropped. The person sitting in front of me was not the person whose photo was on the resume. Not even close. Different age, different appearance, entirely different person. He hung up immediately. We traced the original resume back through our applicant tracking system. The real candidate whose identity had apparently been used without his knowledge was contacted. He had no idea. His LinkedIn, his headshot, his work history had been scrapped and handed to someone else to interview behind a real-time AI face filter. Our HR policy had nothing in it about this because when we wrote it, this wasn't possible yet. We reported it, we updated the policy. We now require candidates to complete a specific live physical gesture at the start of every video interview. But here is what I cannot stop thinking about. He made it through 2 rounds. 2 experienced people on my team looked at him for a combined 40 minutes and never noticed. So am I the asshole for not catching it sooner, or has hiring just become something we don't actually know how to do anymore?
Is this actually my question is this actually technically possible right now? And I want to say no, but it likely is, just based on the stuff you've been showing me off the China Observer.
Exactly. If I in honesty, if I wasn't watching the China Observer, I might not think it's real, but we do know that there's the filter thing has just blown up. So a lot
Wow.
of people went online and then they get these filters to look like completely different people. And then when the filters drop, they're like, holy, because does not look like that same person, right?
Plus, since I've been hanging out with so many people around the world, I know there's people who charge money to make you video clones.
Hmm.
Plus, since I follow them, I know that it's possible. I think I shared a story. I don't know if it was in this. I've shared a recent story where I know somebody was deep faked on a podcast like a being interviewed for a podcast, and like they're just based on a Zoom call, their face and their audio was used for nefarious reasons. It's just like it's just mind blowing. So
It is. It really is. Well, and you gotta look at this like, okay, so the person that's interviewing, like, I get it. You wouldn't necessarily think about that, right? You wouldn't be thinking these are people with these filters. However, I guess, now we have to really look at that because look, okay, COVID. Everybody, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people saw the Zoom fails, like the one where it was like the judge, I think, that had the cat, or it was a lawyer that got like the cat
I,
face
you
stuck
know
on
what?
filter.
And I went and tested that just to verify it's possible. I was like, how is this even possible? Oh wait, because that's fun. It's fun. Are they the asshole for not catching it sooner? I don't think so, because like you wouldn't know until you knew. So now you're like, okay, now there's other things. Like, I don't know if you've seen those videos where people are applying for like job interviews and using like having windows pop up and stuff like that. Like, there's just you
Well,
don't even know what.
we've also seen, sorry not to cut you off, but,
No,
we've
no.
also seen people that are using AI live in their interview too, so then they wanna see what your desktop looks like, that you're not using that, like, we have all these things that didn't exist even let's
So
look back, like, literally 7 years ago, this stuff didn't exist. Not to this extent, right?
no, so we don't even know. Literally, we don't even know what's possible until we're shown what's possible.
And now
So
I guess what would make you the asshole would be not learning from this, right? Knowing this is now like if you're an HR manager or hiring and now you know there's a possibility, you become the asshole if you don't decide to do something because this is not going to probably go away. You're going to have to be more due diligence, especially if you do hire remote workers. You might have to have that they physically show up in the office before they can get hired, right? That you actually see that person and touch that person, reach out and touch them, right?
so since two experienced people miss this over 40 minutes, what does that tell us about how much we truly trust video?
Well, we have been convinced that seeing is believing, right? And I've talked about this in more recent weeks that seeing is no longer believing anymore. So even if we see it, it's like seeing the AI generated content. So one of the examples I've used before is the trail cam footage that was being repeated with different animals where it's like, "Oh, I felt something was watching me." So they put a trail cam, but their tent is open and then some wild animal sleeps with them. Like there was different variations with a cougar and a bear and it was the same video, but they just changed the animal, right? So now we can't believe what we're seeing anymore.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. So I guess, Mike, what is your verdict? Do you think this was real or fake? No, actually, first, were they the asshole? Yes or no? I think you said they weren't, but I wanna
I would
confirm that,
say
and
not
then I'll
the
tell you
asshole.
what the verdicts were.
Not the asshole. They did. Would they have caught it without that face filter fail? Like, how long would this have gone on? So that's even a different angle. How long? Like, you're only noticing it's fake because you're catching an inconsistency.
Exactly, right? So how long would it have gone on? I don't know. It keeps dropping with the video, but I'll go with the verdict. The verdict was majority of people said on Reddit, not the asshole. You caught it. It's more than most people would have done. Very much like you said, Mike. The technology is a problem, not your reaction time. There was a soft, "You are the asshole," 11 years of hiring, and you have no live verification process, and fair enough, like, as we go through this, yeah, we gotta start thinking ahead, and I guess for me, it's really now you know this information, what are you gonna do with it? And if you don't do anything, then yes, you are an asshole, right? But the top comment was, "The scariest part isn't that someone faked an interview, it's that they nearly got the job, and if they had, they wouldn't have even known that that person may not have ever been really who they even hired," right? So
What?
then it's like, who are you
What?
giving
What's
access to?
like, what's the whole purpose? Like, why would somebody be faking as somebody else to get? Like, I'm like, what's the actual true intent, or is it
The
actually
motivation,
something,
right?
something more nefarious? Because they're like, oh wait, we could. Was that just confirming that they could like impersonate anybody at that company, find out who's really working at that? Like, I'm just like, I'm thinking about the whole
To
hacking
hack the
aspect.
company because now they're inside and they're part of, like, it's
They have
very much scary.
email addresses that work probably right, and they know
Yeah.
how. Like, I'm just like, hey, this
It
is
a it
super.
a you actually have more questions about it being much more nefarious, really,
Mhm,
especially if
mhm.
the person that they tracked it back to had no idea this like, it wasn't like they hired them to go do the interview, right? Now that's a whole whole 'nother level, hiring somebody to essentially perform as you for an interview. That didn't even happen, right? So then it does go down the nefarious. So I guess keep it in mind and put it in the comments. Do you think this first story was fake or real? Let's continue to the next story. Okay. He was watching her family photos for 19 months. She had no idea. Am I the asshole? He never actually left. So my ex-boyfriend and I broke up 19 months ago. It was not a dramatic ending, no big fight. We just two people who had stopped working who had stopped working and we both knew it. So like, yeah, stop working. We split cleanly, or at least I thought we did. 3 weeks into our relationship, he had asked to join my family's shared photo album. It seemed sweet at the time. My mom liked him, my sister had added him. It was the kind of thing you do when you think someone is going to be around for a long time. When we broke up, I changed my passwords. I blocked him on everything. I did all the things you do. I did not think about the photo album. 19 months later, my sister mentioned something at Christmas dinner that stopped me cold. She referenced a photo from my birthday in October, a photo that had only ever existed in a shared album, and said our ex had commented on to a mutual friend, not online, in person. He had described it in detail, the restaurant, what I was wearing, who was there. I went into the album settings that night. He was still there, listed as a member, access never revoked. 19 months of my family's life, my niece's first birthday, my parents' anniversary trip, my sister's pregnancy announcements, my new relationship, all of them visible to him. He had never liked a single photo, never commented, never made himself known. He just watched. When I removed him, he texted me within 4 minutes, just 2 words, "Caught me." I did not respond. I have not heard from him since. My family is upset, mostly at themselves for not thinking to check. My sister feels sick about the pregnancy announcement. My mother cannot stop apologizing even though she didn't do anything wrong. I feel like the last 19 months of my life have been watched by someone I thought I had left behind. So am I the asshole for not checking the albums, or is "caught me" the most chilling thing a person can text someone they were supposed that they were supposed to be over?
Yeah, that's a creepy one.
That is creepy. I'm
That
gonna say
is
something.
creepy.
I don't know what the most creepy is. It's like, okay, if you split on good terms and they're still spying, makes you go like, "What? What?" Like, that's confusing. That I find confusing. Um, you know what? This is the problem. You are the asshole if you don't know who has access to what.
That's all. It's almost like, it's like having this hidden audience, but like it's more. That's more. It's you, but you gave them access. I'm like, but you gave them access to that stuff,
That's like
and
an employee that quits, and if you don't get them off your system, that could have malicious intent, right?
exactly, or they have the full admin access to everything, right? So even if you think you got rid of them, you didn't like. Oh, this reminds me of one. I think this from like anyway, it just reminds me of one of the other episodes where it was something similar to this. So, um, is this stalking?
I
Because he knew when he was caught because he got the little notification.
Yeah, he knew immediately. He was clearly stalking her at a level, like, that is, I think, why it's really unsettling, right?
And guess what? He slipped up because he knew he got caught because he mentioned it to somebody, and then that's what raised all the red flags. So how long would it have gone on?
That they wouldn't even have thought of it, right?
He's
Like,
like, oh, he mentally, he's like, I said something to a friend. Oh, I slipped up, and then boom, remove. Like it's just like, yeah,
it
yeah.
is. It's like that's the problem with anything. Any systems you have, you know, and removing I guess we now like this sounds heartless, but we almost have to think of everybody we invite into our lives as like you have an admin account, whether it's your internet at your house or whatever it is, your admin, and every person is now a user. So even if they're a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they're a user, and you need
Well,
to know what that user has access to.
you know what?
And it's a very transactional at a level now, right?
I got an example, something that I've just looked at over the last couple days, right? Because I'm troubleshooting a folder permission issue on OneDrive for somebody, right? And when I had them step through what they're doing, they're just like, I'm just sharing the folder with this other person's email address, and I'm like, and I've had to do it a couple times. And when I looked today at the admin settings, um, it's been shared a ton. So of course, whenever they run into an issue, it's like, oh, we're just sharing it with you. It's like you've got anybody. There's like 12 links of it being shared out there in the public, and there's not any real way to revoke that control unless you go cancel all 12 different like shared URLs, right? So people set up stuff and then just forget about it.
And then you have all these open-ended pieces, and then you wonder why you get hacked, right? Like, it was
Or
actually I came
weird
across a
stuff,
video.
weird stuff, right?
Yeah, where exactly. Well, it was like a side note of a story of a creator, 20 years on YouTube or almost 20 years, right? And she had been making all this content, had a decent following, like 70, 80,000 people, open a new business email. I don't know what she did, but somehow she ended up losing her main email address simultaneously overnight when she opened a new email address and lost access to her YouTube channel. And it's like, what backdoor, what weird thing did you do, right? That you didn't know that was just waiting to be exposed, right? Unfortunately. But I guess we go down, Mike. What do you think? What do you think? Or do you think they were the asshole or not the asshole? And then I'll tell you what the Reddit verdict.
No,
Reddit
it's kind of like both. I think it's split, but because I'm like, who in our fan? He asked to join it. Mom agreed. Her sister added him, so it was not like she, I think everybody's implicated.
fair enough, because it wasn't technically if her
I don't
sister
think
had
I don't
added,
think that,
she's not the one controlling the
I don't
account,
think she
right?
did it. It says there in the script that her sister did it. Her sister
Yeah,
added
yeah,
him.
yeah, her sister added, so obviously she's not the admin on the account. However, there's a learning that anybody that comes into a family, friend, you start to get closer with, is that same idea, they become a user, and you need to know if these users are still gonna be in your life, if they still have access. But then that's also comes to, like, when you talk about updating passwords, that's also updating users. That should be something that you go through and look at least once a year, like, do all these people still need access, right? Who has access to what? So it is really kind of a little bit on them. The verdict on Reddit, you broke that she was not the asshole because she broke up with him. She blocked him, thought she had taken care of everything. How would she have known to think of something like that? He knew exactly what he was doing. There was a little bit of the soft, you are the asshole. Digital hygiene after breakup has to include shared access review. That's what we're just talking about, right? It's now part of the world we live in. It's painful lesson. Now you know, right? Top comment, caught me means he knew. He always knew. He was waiting to see how long it would take. That is not a person who moved on. So that stalker idea, right? That is a person who found a window and decided to stand in it, just being the little peeping Tom, got the like binoculars, right?
100%.
So again, now I guess the next question is again, keep this in mind. Was that real or fake? Let's go to the last story of tonight, and then, uh, sorry.
Having issues with the screen sharing.
Yeah, and I don't know why it was turning off earlier, so who knows? There we go. Okay, so story number 3. She talked to a bot at 2 a.m. It ended up in the courtroom. This is the last one. I'm going to start it by saying I'm not one who falls apart easily. So am I the asshole? As I have been through things, I kept it together through a marriage that stopped working, through a separation that stretched out for 2 years, through the process of watching someone who was supposed to love me try to dismantle everything I built. I thought I had been careful. I thought I had protected myself. About 8 months ago, before my separation, I had started using an AI therapy chatbot. I wanted it I want to be clear about what it was. It was not a licensed therapist. It was not a clinical tool. It was an app, a conversation app. Something I used late at night when I could not sleep and I could not call anyone and just needed somewhere to put the weight of what I was feeling. I said things in those conversations I would never have said out loud. Things about my anxiety, things about my days things I could not get out of my head and out of bed. Like when couldn't move my body. Didn't want to get out of bed, right? Couldn't get them out of my head. Things that I was afraid I was becoming. The kind of honesty you can only manage when you believe absolutely no one is listening. So it kind of sounds like that being watched, right? Where you're just ranting to whatever technology, anything that you want to say, right? 7 months into the custody proceedings, my ex-husband's lawyer submitted a motion I had never seen before. They had subpoenaed the chatbot company. The chatbot company had complied. 14 months of conversation logs. Every message I sent at 2 in the morning when I was at my lowest. Every fear I had typed into a screen because I thought it was disappearing into nothing. It was submitted as evidence of my mental fitness as a parent. My lawyer told me she had never seen anything like this, that there was no established precedent, that the terms of the service of the app did not include a clause about legal compliance and the data disclosure. Buried in language so dense that nobody reads it. Nobody reads it because nobody thinks their 2 a.m. conversations with a chatbot is going to end up in a family court filing. I'm still proceeding I am still in the proceedings. I cannot say how it'll end, but I can say this. I used the app because I was struggling and I needed somewhere safe to say so. The safest place I could find turned out not to be safe at all. So am I the asshole for not reading the terms of service, or is there something deeply wrong with this world where your most private thoughts can be subpoenaed and used against you in the courtroom? I guess this actually makes me think of right up the bat, like a journal, right? Journals maybe, and then you go burn it before they hide it, because maybe that's the way we
100%. This is like not expecting Alexa or any of those things in your life to not be recording everything you say. Like
and
we've
they can
had
be used against you at any point, at any time. Whatever you said can be used against you, and I'm not gonna lie, I have raged at AI, and then I'm like, "If this is used against me, all of those alphabet letter agencies think I'm probably insane."
except all the accounts are in my name, so there you go.
Yeah, so they think you're insane. See, that's how you do it. You blame it on your spouse.
Especially so um
Go ahead, go ahead.
Use it. Um,
Oh, no, 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 I just sorry. I just
I,
had thought of, like, if I go too crazy, they'll just come and take you away.
that's why the chatbots aren't supposed to give you any legal help or medical help or anything like that because people have gone crazy and done stuff. So now, how tools used to be, how chatbots used to be, how ChatGPT, all these things used to be, have been tainted based on the fact that people have gone crazy, and now it's
Yeah,
like, oh well, we can't give you a, they're, if you've used one, if you get angry with it or start whatever, it's gonna tell you to take a break. Now, the soft stuff is take a break, or a session limit has been exceeded. Sometimes it will, suggest counseling or other things like that. So we know people are using these things a
yes,
lot.
and we know that people are talking to them. We know statistically 72% of teens are using them as companions. So this is not unbelievable that at all that you're talking to the AI when you just wanna release and wanna be mirrored back some sympathy or whatever you're talking about, right?
I'm gonna mention though, like, this goes back a long time because when you're using, most of these things are free tools, right? Like ChatGPT, like most AI tools are free until you get to certain um usage limit, and then they start charging you. So most of the stuff's free, just like your email, like Gmail or Outlook, when they're owned by a bigger company. And we caught this, I'd say 14 years ago. Our daughter's 13, so we caught this 14 years ago when, because we're using Gmail for your email service, you started getting ads based on the fact that you were starting to get like emails about, being pregnant or having a newborn, a new baby, et cetera, et
Yes,
cetera.
and
So
so
even
that was the soft rollout of that stuff, right?
exactly. So back then, your emails were already, any free service, your emails are being collected for data selling, for
Yeah.
ad to sell to advertisers. So it's like, we issue the asshole for not reading the fine print. Well, we,
Well, you're a little bit of an asshole if you don't know it can be used against you, because we also know that
oh my
there
god,
was
it's
actually an
oh,
example of where they've already pulled it up. What was it? There was just something I was just gonna say, and every time I've already lost that thought, but there has been already examples. Oh, hiring. I had heard, I don't think this doesn't seem to be popular, but there was somebody who reported that whoever they had applied to, whatever business recruiting, they wanted to see the chats with their chat bots, essentially like with AI, like Chat GPT or whatever. The company that was hiring them wanted to see like some of the messages. And so there you go. We already had that.
oh, like what? Well, how did you do this work? We want to see your prompts that you gave AI tools to see how you accomplish this.
I don't know if it was exactly phrased that way, but they were asking, all I know is that I was watching something and
That's
it
when you're
was
like, I am going to use
essentially
my own.
the was this normal for like recruiters and employers to ask for people's conversations with the AIs? And that was something that had come up. So we know that that had already been, somebody somewhere asked it. I don't know the details of it, but that was something I had already come across
And
in the
this
last
is,
few months.
I was also going to bring up that I know that, unless you go into the settings and say your stuff, you want your stuff to be deleted or it's private, like everything you're type. The reason these AI bots are free to a certain extent when you first get started is because it's a language model and it's using everybody's terminology, phrasing, et cetera, to make it better. It's just, they're just collecting data is what they're doing. And if that stuff, if any of these, there's already been reports of businesses who have data breaches because the employees are like, hey, well, I'm just gonna dump all of our just gonna dump all of our PDFs, all of our knowledge bases, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, into ChatGPT and have it come up with the answers for me. Yet they've literally just deposited all the confidential company secrets into ChatGPT, and that is now all searchable on the internet.
Exactly. Sometimes it's like, mum's the word and know what it's gonna do with whatever you're gonna tell it, right? So I guess overall, do you think she was the asshole for not reading it? Are soft, she's the asshole, she's not the asshole. What's your verdict? And then I'll go on Reddit's verdict.
It's like soft because anything, like you should know that anything that you do is gonna come back to haunt you, whether it is like typing stuff into AI or in your email, or because you don't know what level of government spying has on you. Like how many like red lights do you blow before you get a red light? Or like whatever. Like
Are they
somebody's gonna
watching you every go, every light,
you
right?
never know who is watching, and you're like, oh, nobody's watching, and then it hits you, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess somebody was watching, and then your
And
ego
and in
be
And in
deflated, right?
fairness, even like I said, the journal, like going old school, writing in a journal, if you didn't destroy that journal, that can still be used as evidence in normal day, right? So you got to be careful what you put your secrets and your deepest thoughts into, especially if it's an electronic device that can hold it and have that memory, right? So the verdict was overall was not the asshole. She didn't do anything wrong. She sought help, which is fair, and the only place she felt available. The system exploited it. The responsibility lies with the platform that complied with the legal team that weaponized it. But I'm like, yeah, but the government's weaponizing it, right? So this is like part of that. There was again There was some soft that she was the asshole, and like you said, the terms are there. We need to start treating every digital conversations as uh, not as potentially permanent. So we need to start treating every digital conversation as potentially permanent. That it's there forever once you've had it. That is the awful truth, but it is the truth. And the top comment was, if we're seeking help in your darkest moment can be used as evidence against you in a courtroom. The problem is not that she talked to a chatbot. The problem is a system has decided um honesty is a liability, right? So have or that just struggling is a liability too, right? Which is a true point that, because I don't think anybody at some point doesn't have struggles and just wants to rant or have like an outlet for frustrations. And that is a very good point. Being used against you like you're not human, right?
That's why a lot of us just like to go for drives and then just yell in our vehicle. I mean, just hope there's nothing listening. Hey, is OnStar listening to me?
It
I
is.
don't
It knows
pay
where you
for it.
are.
I don't pay
Okay,
for
so
it, but every time I turn my truck on, I get that email saying, "Come on, dude, you still haven't done your air tire pressure or whatever," right? So
it's
truck's still
spying
fun.
on you. Yeah, and it knows, and the AIs are building up that you are a very, like, not a good human, you're not maintaining this appropriately. It's making the notes in the back. It's got that digital
Of
file.
course, of
You're not
course.
taking care of your robots good enough. Okay, so on that, now it's time to guess which of these are fake. So we'll go over them again. I'm going to see if did I close already one of the images. Okay, well, I'll just go over each of the because I think I actually closed them by accident. Okay, so the first story we had this evening was about
The
the
interview.
the
The
interview
interview that wasn't real.
and essentially, the filter, and then, was that the real story? The interview with the filter and catching that there was somebody pretending to be somebody else to get that job. Then our second story here tonight was the relationship breakup and the significant other still watching quietly through
Shared
a
photo
private
album.
shared photo album, not making themselves known, but spying on the ex. And then this story here that she talked to the chatbot, and her conversation is being brought into the courts as um part of the separation process. So Mike, I'll give you a little moment and a little drum roll. Which do you think is real or fake, and drop it in the comments. Which ones do you guys think? Do you think number 1 is real or fake? Number 2, real or fake? Or number 3? Just drop the number in the comments. And what is your guess, Mike?
I think story one's fake.
Story 1
But
fake.
but
Ah,
but
well, we got guests for also. We're hearing that in the comments as well. Number
yeah.
1 was Mind Mystiques.
Ooh. Somebody agrees with me this week.
Okay, so final guess. The number 1. Okay, Mind Mystiques doubling down on number 1, and the fake story was actually the 3rd one.
As
The
my
3rd
second
story
guess.
was fake. So her private conversation being used in the custody battle is extremely believable and is probably something that will happen in the future. However, at this moment, I did not have evidence that that existed, so it is the fake story.
I'm really surprised about that deep fake interview, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's
I think
why.
all this other 3 seems real too. I'm like, number 1, come on, nobody's doing that. Oh, wait, they are doing that, and
That is because it is a super unbelievable. It's weird and it's unbelievable because you bring up a lot of points, especially with that story where the actual person who they were pretending to be didn't know that he was in this interview, right? So this person duplicated to get an AI fake filter of somebody else to essentially get hired into that business. That sounds like spy versus spy. That sounds like the Chinese infiltration system, right? Which is probably true. Like, I'm going to say real life things are so much stranger than fiction. So that
100%.
was, sorry, go ahead.
I said 100%. Everything you never know with these tech stories. So this is why I like this format because you're like, "Ooh, this is, creepy, creepy, and more creepy." Really.
And as a side note, I've got to remember to say this at the beginning and get it part of the script that it doesn't mean when you watch this, our fake stories might have actually become real. So when we make these at the time that they go live, these are not real stories. Doesn't mean that in a few weeks or a month that these stories don't become actual
Exactly.
real stories.
Exactly. We're just inspired by the AITA, the Am I the Asshole series that you hear about on other platforms because you're just like, wait a minute, people can't really be like that. Oh yes, they could be because we've met people, right? You
And there's some good stories, and I like adding the fun of which one did we make up or did I make up for the week. So join us again. We will be live on Saturday with YouTube University. You can visit us at uh, IamYouTubeFamous.com or I am YouTube Famous on YouTube. If you're following us on Too Real, A AITA, that's our at
AITA,
YouTube.
it's a long title. AITA, Two Real, Two Truths, and a Lie. It's
We
two
will be
shows.
live.
Two shows long.
Exactly. We'll be live for episode 5 next Monday again, 7 p.m. So if you're watching us here, make sure you do subscribe so you'll be notified when we go live. And we will be going live on the social medias you're watching as well. So do subscribe there as well. I can say as well about 5 different times. So as always, we hope you enjoyed, learned something, and realize that you only become the asshole when you don't learn from the situations other people mess up on. Then you become the asshole. So if you know better, these are the stories to help us learn better so we can make better steps and hopefully not end up in these type of situations.
Exactly. That's episode 4 of Too Real. Did you get it this week? Because next episode, the line between real and fake, it's even harder to find. See, Julie's doing real good to stump me. I was right the first. And if you guess it right, let us know. Leave a comment about if you got. Hey, if you got some story examples, leave those leave those comments as well. Or let us know because we need to get creepier and creepier with these technology stories. I know we can do it.
Exactly, exactly. So thank you everybody again, and we will see you next Monday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern.